Hi, welcome to Instant Grace, a special installment of Gracearchy with Jim Babka, and I'm Jim Babka.
Good morning, Jim. This is a rough one, right? I'm ready to bleep some stuff. Anything I don't catch live, we'll do an edit. But
oh boy! All right, so I guess the big question is, am I proud to be a libertarian? And the answer is yes, because I feel like I've been misrepresented. There's been a problem for a while, I think, with the Twitter account of the New Hampshire Libertarian Party. It's been an ongoing issue, and it crossed a line that spilled over into the media. Otherwise, I wouldn't be commenting about it. I wouldn't want to give this post any more attention than it's gotten, but it's gotten out enough that I feel like it should be addressed, and I feel like our approach here is the right one to address it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And
Okay.
I should say to people that we have blanked out one word in this post.
Let's go ahead. Let's put the tweet up so everybody can see what we're talking about.
This is Libertarian Party, New Hampshire.
Yes. And it reads, for the people who might be listening and not able to see, anyone who would blank Kamala Harris would be an American hero. The blank is a form of harm beginning with a word that begins with M, as in the destruction of life. Anyone who would do that to Kamala Harris would be an American hero. Obviously, I have to be careful with Al Gore's rhythm. YouTube and all the other places with their terms of service we have to follow. So I'm going to be careful about what I'm reading. This is not a free speech issue. That's the platform's rules. But it's disturbing.
It's really disturbing. We've talked about the two attempts on President Trump's life. And this is beyond the pale.
I do not believe that this is that. And we're going to get to that in a second because there's a part two to this story. But I want to say, when you join the party, you join because you're making a commitment to nonviolence. The entire libertarian philosophy says we choose persuasion over coercion. And in fact, a lot of the trouble that the libertarian movement and the party in particular has had over the last several years, going through a couple of different terms of chair, has been that it has gotten into the culture war. And the fact of the matter has always been that you sign a pledge when you get into this party that says, I do not believe in the initiation of force to achieve social and political goals. It's not a party that celebrates violence. And that pledge was put in place by the likes of the party founders, including David Nolan, because they did not want to be targeted by the state and misrepresented for what it was they believe. And here is an official organ of a state party putting out a statement that, to my mind, contradicts that principle in its entirety.
Everything about it.
Everything about it.
Not even as a joke, people. Not even as this is not funny.
So it's not intended to be funny. There's a belief here, and it is that all press is good press, and that is clearly not true. And this got a lot of press. The Boston media in particular picked up on this and ran with it. But there has begun to be national coverage of this because the gentleman who posted it doubled down. The gentleman who posted it may well be the second coming of a guy named Chris, who was known as a crying N-word. And the N-word here isn't the traditional N-word. It's the one where they saluted in Germany during World War II. He was the crying N. And there's a name for this. Michael Cloud, a friend of mine, labeled this the late, great Macho Flash. You basically go around and you behave atrociously, and that atrocious behavior then gets you attention. And you say, see, look at how effective I am at getting attention, which is literally the argument made by this poster. And it's wrong because it's very damaging. It's misleading. It invites the wrong image. And it directly contradicts the principle of libertarian. I am proud to be a libertarian because I believe that violence is not the way to solve problems. I am proud to be a libertarian. We go further here. And this is a passionate plea to everyone. The reason that we have a show called Gracearchy, and I as a libertarian speak up on that, is because I believe in my heart of hearts that the way that we're actually going to change this is by modeling the actions of Jesus, modeling the advice of Tolstoy and Gandhi and King, that nonviolence is the answer. And sometimes you even need to step into that violence in order to get your point made.
It is the state that's violent, Bill, which brings me to the second part of this episode.
Oh my gosh, yes. And by the way, we should say that tweet is gone. It was somewhat delightfully removed.
Well, no, they actually voluntarily pulled it down, but then continued to double down in a number of other ways.
A number of other, including this one we're about to see.
Okay, so now the individual who posted this tweet gets a visit, allegedly from the FBI, and we're going to put in the show notes. We're going to put the tweet, so that you can actually see this visit. It doesn't last long. The video is about 5 minutes long. But there's a lot of problems with it. J. Edgar Hoover would be rolling over in his grave. These men show up in plaid shirts instead of suits and ties. They are dressed very casually. One's got blue jeans on. The other has his shirt untucked. Both refuse to one refuses to identify himself at all. Both refuse to identify themselves in toto. One presents a badge on his hip but doesn't allow it to be displayed. They show up in an unmarked car with a standard New Hampshire license plate.
Yeah, not a government plate.
If someone showed up at my house, no, I'm going to be more explicit than this. I have had a government agent show up at my house. It wasn't a pleasant experience for him. And I did not behave the same way as this person does. And I want to be clear. Free speech, the type that we have to defend, in all cases, the constitutional right to free speech that we defend always has to be on behalf of bad actors, people who seem to be stretching the limits of it. We could sit here and have a conversation about apple pie and no one's going to care about our free speech. We could even say, I think we love Jesus, and there's going to be little problem with that. But the aesthetic, the method that was chosen here, you may not like. It may not be your cup of tea. You think it's appalling and disrespectful. I would even say it was ungracious. And yet, I'm going to say there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. Because this person, who I think expected a visit from the FBI, this person basically called them on their stuff. They refused to identify themselves. They did not want to talk on camera. He kept the camera on. He posted the video. And he told them what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, his argument I want to put his argument in some. I'm going to steelman him right now. This second coming of Chris, the crying N. I'm going to steelman him right now because his argument is that the state engages in violence all the time. They engage in intimidation all the time. And here comes two likely, they didn't fully identify themselves, FBI agents to do what, Bill? In part, to intimidate. And this is what the state does. The state constantly. So right now, Donald Trump is saying that he's going to deport far more people than Joe Biden has managed to do. He's going to up the ante. He is going to do that with stolen money. Kamala Harris is promising to build 3 million homes. She's going to do that with stolen money. If you resist this, you could lose your property, your liberty, and even your life. So let's be clear here that the state in itself is violence, and it is about intimidation. And this was an intimidation move, and clearly he didn't respond to it. He wasn't intimidated. He spoke back to them. And he's justified in doing so. And he's justified at a Supreme Court level. He's citing the decision of Brandenburg v. Ohio, which says that politics is full of big rhetoric. People say dramatically sweeping big claims. Some of them sound warlike because politics is war by other means, ladies and gentlemen. I am constantly at pains to say, let's get out of the conflict machine. That's what we're trying to evoke here. We're trying to get people to work together persuasively to advance their social goals instead of to coerce their neighbors. So there's two sides to this bill. The first part was not practical. It didn't help the cause. It misrepresented. And clearly, for the interests of this show, it was not graceful. The flip side is that the state comes along and proves the point, and he was completely within his rights to say, buzz off. We'll put those links in the show notes so you can see them for yourself. I'm Jim Babka, and this is Bill Protzmann. Grace.
Grace.